What's up, everybody? It's Trey Smith, co-owner of Recaptured Values, alongside my talented wife,
Bailey Smith.
And hey, guys, we've been working for you guys. I've been kind of behind the scenes, which is why you haven't been seeing me. But trust me, I've been working for you guys.
Getting the magic.
I'm the magic man. I've been doing all the social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. You know what I mean? I've been working for you guys. But yes, a lot of big things are coming, and we are happy that you are watching these videos. We hope these videos help you guys. And
we're going to be putting out new videos every Tuesday, and we're going to call it Teach It Tuesday. So be prepared to learn. Yeah. So whether you're a mama, a grandma, and any sort of family member making stuff for your little nieces and nephews, whatever. Right. Shop owners, we welcome you to watch our videos and learn. We're just going to be going through our favorite patterns and showing you how we use them in our own shop, and we hope you can benefit from them.
Well, enough of the introduction. We hope you enjoy this video. See y'all on the other side.
This is Bailey Smith from Recaptured Values, and I'm bringing you another tutorial. We're going to start putting videos starting, say, next Tuesday. We're going to start doing new videos every Tuesday, and we're going to start calling it Teach It Tuesday. So be prepared to be looking at the channel every Tuesday for a new upload, pattern, tutorial, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so today we are going to be sharing how we make our knotted turbans. These are hand sewn, and I'm going to teach you how we get them perfect every single time. I've seen quite a few people try to do this, and they do a pretty good job, but I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks as to how we get ours to sit on the head correctly and not leave the little marks on the foreheads and stuff like that, and then also to keep it secure. So we don't even use glue. So it's going to be a little bit tedious, but we're going to get down to it, and we're going to share secrets as to what we use. And this pattern that we use, just because we originally used our own, and then it just made it easier to use someone else's pattern. And so this is BigNogginBaby. You know, we love BigNogginBaby from Etsy, and this is their Big Knot Turban or Knotted Turban. I forget what it's called. It's one of those, but it's their pattern on Etsy, the Top Knot Turban. Okay, so, and then this is what it looks like sewn up. And there we have pretty big knots on ours, but that's just how we size them in our shop. So newborn 0 to 3 months, then we call it infant 3 to 12 months. The next one is toddler. We say 1 to 5 years. And the next one is kid to adult sizes. That's how we size them or label them in our group, and that's what works best for us. So, BigNogginBaby turban tutorial. So I'm going to turn the camera down and show you guys what we need to do to get started. Okay, hopefully you guys can see everything. Okay, so what you're going to need for this tutorial, you are going to need fabric, a knit fabric. Knit fabric, pretty much any fabric that has at least, it's a blend of fabric that has at least 3% spandex or lycra in it, is going to be the most beneficial. It needs to have stretch to it, because to pull it on your head, it needs to have stretch. So the more stretch, the better fit, but at least 3% will get the result you're looking for. So we're going to use double brushed poly because it's the most it's the easiest fabric to find, in my opinion, and it's got the most cute prints. There is a disclaimer though on double brushed poly as far as infants go. You're not really supposed to keep pretty much anything on your baby's head unsupervised, or really anything at all. So same thing goes with turbans. It's something that goes on your baby's head that can easily be pulled over. So just, you know, pay close attention to your child. If you're making this for your child or if you're making this to sell, understand that as double brush poly is exempt because it's flat, but that doesn't rule out people's recommendations, because it's a polyester fabric, so it's not as breathable as cotton. So cotton spandex would work really well as well. Rayon spandex would be pretty good too. Modal spandex would do really good, but I'm going to use double brush poly for this. Like I said, just proceed with caution, because it doesn't breathe as well, therefore babies tend to typically overheat. So just pay attention and make good choices as to what you put on your kid and what you're selling in your shop. Okay, so to get started, pretty much like we always do. So other than the fabric, I need a needle, and I use this handy dandy little tomato thingy with this little weird strawberry weird looking thing. But so there's a needle here. I mean, see it, just a plain needle. This one, I'm not really sure of the sizes, but these ones are tiny. See the difference? This is a tiny needle compared to this one, and it's a little bit thicker. So I use the thicker one just because it makes it easier to work with. So you're gonna need a needle with the eye on it, and then you're gonna need thread, any color, somewhat similar to most likely what you're doing. I like to, when I first started out doing these, I like to get a thread color that was like a lot different than this so that I could see the thread. Once you get good with it, you get a thread to match your fabric because you don't want it to be seen. But for you sewing it, it's pretty well hidden, so I like to use one that I can see on the fabric as I'm sewing. And then our handy dandy secret, everybody wanted to know, how do we get our turbans so perfect? And that is hair donuts. We get these, you can buy them at the dollar store, the Dollar Tree, for $1 a piece. And I mean, we stay stocked up. You can buy them online. I think online Dollar Tree is like a 24 pack. But we love them. They work great. They're soft. And also, the pattern actually calls for you to, you know, cut up strips of fabric and make the knots. You can do that, but it's going to be pretty heavy. And we've noticed that it kind of weighs down on the kid's head when you're doing that. So we use these. It also cuts down shipping cost because it's much more lightweight than using all that fabric to make the knot. But if you run out of these, absolutely do what the pattern says. We did that for a long time and used scrap fabric and just cut up strips and made knots. It's a good thing for the mamas out there. If you want to put your husband to work, teach him how to make a knot if you don't have these readily available. But these are a lifesaver, especially when you're a shop owner. Makes it super easy, just, you know, stock up on these. But we're gonna get started. So all that in a rotary cutter that I always use, handy dandy rotary cutter. And this is Westcott Titanium from Walmart. Used to use the Friskers brand, but the little metal piece kept wearing down, and so it would click shut on me. Pretty sure a lot of people have struggled with that. This one does not have that issue, and it's fairly cheap at Walmart. And then I also buy the blades on Amazon, and I think I said before I was going to link that below, and I never did, so I will definitely link the blade replacements that we buy from Amazon. They're hit or miss. Sometimes they're not as great, but buying them in bulk as compared to buying 2 from Walmart for the same price that we're buying them in bulk, much better bulk. Okay, fabric. Just like all the times we've ever cut fabric on our videos, there is a purpose as to how to cut fabric correctly and a reason for it. So, same thing with turbans. It's going to be important on how you cut your fabric. So, this piece is a really big piece. I didn't have a small piece. Here, we can use this side. Okay, let me flip it over here. So, fabric. Same thing we talk about in all of our other videos about how it's important to cut your fabric because it sets you up for the best fitting garment, and in this case, which is a hat, turban. So, we're going to look at our fabric. You can see how this is rolling. We're going to call that the selvage. If your fabric doesn't roll and you can't readily see it, it's not obvious, all you have to do is do the stretch test. That's not stretching that much, so that's the grain line. And when you stretch this way, that's clearly stretching, so that's the stretch. So we're going to cut the pattern with the stretch going this way. And then on these patterns, when you print and cut them out, they put on theirs that they already put the stretch with the arrows. So once you determine which way the stretch is going, that's how you're going to cut your pattern. For this one, we're going to do a 0 to 3 month size. Okay, so you see that this says cut on the fold. So that means we're going to put this side of the pattern on a fold. We're going to fold our fabric over, and this side's going to be in a fold, which means we're not going to cut that line. We're just going to cut here and then this curve here. So when it opens up, it'll be 2 of these. It'll be 1 full piece. Okay, so we're going to lay it down here. And just for the sake of not wasting fabric, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off, which is going to be really wasteful, but I'll show you how I do mine. These are the grain line. Then we stretch this way. That's clearly stretching, so that's the stretch. So we're gonna cut the pattern with the stretch going this way. And then on these patterns, when you print and cut them out, they put on theirs that they already put the stretch with the arrows. So once you determine which way the stretch is going, that's how you're gonna cut your pattern. For this one, we're gonna do a 0 to 3 month size. Okay, so you see that this says cut on the fold. So that means we're gonna put this side of the pattern on a fold. We're gonna fold our fabric over, and this side's gonna be in a fold, which means we're not gonna cut that line. We're just gonna cut here, and then this curve here. So when it opens up, it'll be 2 of these. It'll be 1 full piece. Okay, so we're gonna lay it down here. And just for the sake of not wasting fabric, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off, which is gonna be really wasteful, but I'll show you how I do mine. These are pattern weights that we made. They're just washers from home improvement store. I think we got ours at Home Depot, and then we just used the washi tape around it to make it a little bit more cute. I don't care, but it works, you know. They serve their purpose. They just keep the pattern down so you can cut around it. It doesn't shift a lot. So what I like to do, I like to put the curved edge at the top and the straight edge here, because you are going to need strips of fabric to go around your hair donut to make it work. So I like to go ahead and cut this straight line here. All right, and then I cut a few strips, and I think it says about 2 to 3 inches apart is what or 2 to 3 inches wide. I just cut. It doesn't have to be perfect. Once you get the hang of it, you don't have to measure. But then you're just gonna cut it straight, and I cut straight down here, because you know, if you've watched any of the other videos, I like straight edges on my fabric for whenever I start over. So I'm just gonna throw this over here. That's one thing I recommend if you are a shop owner or you're gonna be sewing a lot and you have a lot of fabric that you're gonna go through sewing. Get you a bin so that you can throw the fabric in as you are sewing, and then fold it later. It's a lifesaver for when you're trying to move really fast. So we got 3 strips here. They're about 2 inches long and are about the width that I cut of the head, the turban. So then you're gonna cut here like this. Cut around just like that. Throw this away. All right. And also you can have a scrap bin too if you don't want to throw fabric like I just threw away. I just got rid of a whole bunch of scraps. So this is what it's gonna look like when you're done. And so you have these strips here. And so you see the stretch now is going this way, because that's how the pattern was, like this. Stretch is going this way. All right, so next what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our needle and thread ready. So I got my needle. All right, so next you're gonna get your needle and your thread ready. So pretty much what you're gonna do is you're gonna get, I'd say, I've never really measured it, but let's say 20, I'd say a 40-inch long string will give you just enough of thread. A 40-inch long piece of thread. I don't measure it, but once you get used to it, you'll basically know. It's just muscle memory to pull out enough thread. So you're gonna thread your, do the thread, and you're gonna knot it. You need quite a big knot at the end of your thread. I haven't learned to do this any other way, so if you're familiar with another way to knot the end of your thread, I just keep making a knot, and I build it up, making a knot. Let me come a little bit closer so you can see me. But pretty much, I just keep making a knot. You can see my tiny little knot there. I'm just gonna keep doing it. And then I've also learned that if you do a knot in front of that knot, like, see how there's 2 knots? Hold on. See how there's 2 knots now? I'm gonna keep doing it and add a little bit more to that front knot. And again, this just happens over practice. So just practice how to do this. So now there's 2 knots. If you can see. And I'm gonna knot those two together now. So I'm gonna do this and basically turn. See how I'm gonna like basically knot those two. Ooh, that didn't really work. Okay, one more time. And we're gonna pull those two knots together and it's gonna make a bigger knot. Like, 1 second, gotta keep going. It'll eventually work and we'll have the best knot ever. Here we go. So then there's a pretty big knot there that you can see, so it's not gonna come through the fabric. It's important that this knot is pretty big. So again, if you guys figure out, I've never looked it up, but this has just worked for me. But if you guys look it up and figure out a way to make the knot on the end of your needle bigger and easier, definitely, you know, comment below. Okay, so next, we got our needle ready. Keep it straight across because you don't want to mess anything up. So, with double brushed poly, it's almost, you have to have an eye for it, and you will once you look at it enough to know what's the front and what's the back. So, this is the front. Hopefully you can see it. If you look really closely, it has these little V's on it that you can see. But really though, you can tell with the texture. And this is the back. If you can kind of see it, that's the back of the fabric. So if you're using a print, this is a lot easier to determine what's what. So what I like to do is I like to lay it down with the right side of the fabric, which is going to be the outside of the garment, face up. So this is the right side, and we have the inside of the fabric is going to be face down. This is just easiest for me. You don't have to do it like that. This is just what I like to do, and I find it works best. And I like to start on this corner here with the outside of the garment facing up, right side facing up. So here we go. This is the tedious part. So let's see here. This is what I'm going to do. So this is the side, right side facing up. And I'm going to start right here with my needle. Right here. You can see right about there. It's about 1/2 inch from the edge and about 1/4 of an inch from the outer edge of the fabric. Okay. So then I just take my needle and go in and out, in and out. I'm going to turn it this way so you can see me a little bit better. All right, so I'm going to take this and go around and go in and out just as even as possible. And if you can see how I am keeping the fabric bunched up, my fingers. I'm just going to keep going in and out and bunching up this fabric. If it's a little uneven, it's okay. The main part here is keeping it the same distance from the outer edge of the fabric. We're maintaining that same amount of space from the outside to the needle. And you just keep doing this until you get to the other edge. So I'm gonna make it go a little faster here. This will take some practice. And you don't have to hold on to it. I just find it easier to hold on to the rest of the bunch of the fabric here. But you can absolutely pull it if you need to. And the bigger the size is, the bigger the bunch here is. And so there you go. I pulled it there. And so I'm going to start here again. That's why I keep it bunched up. So I'm going to start back here. Got to go in and out. And you basically just keep doing that. Until you get to the edge of fabric. And then at the very end, I like to make it to where the needle comes out at the end, so that it kind of folds like that. That's how I like to do it. It really doesn't matter, but that's just how I like to do it. So then you pull it tight. So this is the knotted end now. And then what I like to do is I like to kind of pull all the bunches to make them even. Pull them all. So they're all kind of in a line there. Okay, so this next part here. So here's the needle part, the part that's coming out of the thread. You can kind of see that? There. Okay, so there's all my bunches. And so now what I'm going to do is hold here with a good grip. And so this is where the needle came out. And I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to go back into this little bunch and kind of come out right here. See the needle up here. I'm going to come out here. And I'm going to do that a few times. Just to get a good strong hold. Alright, so that's pretty good. And so now the thread is coming out here. Alright, so I'm going to flip this around. And now I'm going to go back in through the bunch here. And back out the side. See what I did here? I'm going in through this little bunch here. And I'm trying to come back out the side right here. So the needle's coming back out the side again, okay? And then, so pay attention to your fabric again. Make sure the outside of the garment is now just like this. And so this is the inside. So here's the thread. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go from here, and I'm going to insert my needle to this side. It's going to create like a little circle. And I'm going to come through the bunch here. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure you go through a lot of the fabric. And then it's going to create a circle of the little bunch. So here, it's a better look at it. Then it kind of pulled this together to make a circle. And now, because we did it like this, the bunch of fabric is going to be underneath the knot rather than inside the knot, making marks on the baby's head. So you don't have to worry about this part being on the inside of the turban. So the needle came out in the bunch, and so I'm just going to go through the bunch a few times with the needle in and out. You're going to see what I'm doing here. I'm just going through this bunch. Careful not to stab yourself. A few times in and out just to make this a very secure thing here. I mean, you still have a lot of thread, so might as well use it. Alright, so then we're going to get the clippers here. Clip this thread here. Clip it long enough to where you can just tie it off here. And then it's pretty much self-explanatory. Again, if you know a better way to tie off a thread, definitely show me or explain to me, or pop a link down below if you watched a video showing how to tie off a knot better. This is just what I do, and it's what works for me. So I do about 4 knots, and I'm just tying it like a shoestring, just a few knots. So do that. We've never had one come undone for us, so I mean, I guess this is working pretty well. No one's ever complained that their top knot fell, or their turban fell apart. So then you're just going to cut it pretty close, not all the way. And then also the ends, which seems to be, there wasn't that many. So then you get the hat part, and that's what it's going to look like. That's on my hand. That's the back. That's the front. Again, this is the 3-month or 0 to 3 month newborn size. And I have pretty small hands, so that's how it looks. And you'll pull it down also on the back of the baby's head, so it should fit. This is my fist here. I think babies' heads are typically a little bit bigger than that. So, I mean, it'll fit. It might be a little loose. Okay, so next we're going to do the actual knot part. So, we have our, and this is how I like to get a really good flat lay too. This is some extra information here. I pull this up and then just fluff it, hold the knot down, and fluff it around there, and you get a really pretty flat lay of the turban. Okay, so get our handy dandy hair donut. and our strips of fabric that we cut here. And then pretty much you're also, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but like here is the right side of the fabric and here is the wrong side. It's kind of different. If you're paying attention enough, you can tell that they're a little bit different in color. The back side is a little darker than the front side. So we're gonna make sure that the right side is up when we're wrapping it around here. So this is pretty much, other than the fact that we're using a donut, a hair donut to be the filler of this, this is pretty much what the tutorial says to do. So you're gonna put it in there and kind of hold it with your finger in the back and then wrap this fabric over it. So that kind of secures that part there. And then so you're gonna keep going around here. You don't have to do it too tight, but tight enough to where it doesn't look crazy. With this, since we're using a fabric that is double-sided for the most part, we don't really have to worry about it curling, but fabrics that have a print on one side and not on the other, just have to pay attention to make sure it doesn't roll. And again, all you have to do to make sure it doesn't roll is to make sure you're doing this in the same motion every single time, and then just fiddling with the fabric to like fold the rolls under so that the same fabric is showing through every time. So then just as we did that, you're gonna tuck the end piece underneath one of these like that, and then keep going around the knot. Again, you're basically just tucking the pieces so that if any little kid pulls on it, it's not going to unravel. And then when you sew the knot onto the turban, hopefully it'll help prevent some of that too. You just keep wrapping it around, going through the hole, keep wrapping it. This is one of the first things we made other than simple bows about, say, 2 years ago. We started doing these, and then we made our own pattern, but then BigNogginBaby came out with theirs and it just seemed better than ours. So we started using theirs and we love their patterns. So just keep going around and try to cover up all the little spots where you tucked fabric into. And again, this is all preference part here, how big you want your knot to be, how neat you want it to be, how tight you want it to be. It's pretty much all just preference. So what I'm going to do now is when you pull that through the last part, then you're going to have it sticking out the back, and I like to cut it to where it's about like here. And then I just tuck it in to one of these pieces like this. And so you know that the part you tucked is the back, and now that's the front. So that's the knot. And as you can see, it's pretty perfect. It's pretty knot. Okay, so we're gonna have to prepare our thread again. So we need, it's about the same length again. So about 40 inches is probably what you're gonna need to do this. I know for a fact that the first thing we did requires less thread, but this one for sure I would cut 40 inch thread to start out with. And so I'm going to show you how we secure our knot to the turban. Pull this through, I'm going to start the needle again. Again, they're going to do the same thing, just make a big enough knot so that when you pull, that it's not going to pull through the fabric because it is stretchy. And if you don't do a big enough knot, when you're pulling, you could pull the thread through and it won't stay. And then all that hard work you just did, trust me, I've done it. I've done it. Or you could pull too hard and break your thread. So just be careful, because I've done it and I've wanted to throw everything at everything. Because it's so frustrating, especially when you're working on an order or you're working on something in a time frame and you're, you know, kicking butt, taking names, and then your thread breaks. And it's like, ah! So I feel you, I feel you. So just keep tying this. A few more here. Again, if you have another way of doing this, comment down below. All right, so, I'm gonna drop this. Okay, so that's the part we tucked. So that's gonna be the part that goes down on the knot, is what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I'm gonna put the tuck part face up, And this is how I do this. So here's the turban. It's upside down. The knot part's here. I'm going to put the knot that's on, or the little bunchy part of fabric, on the donut, right in the middle. And I like to put it where the tuck is. I put the tuck right there in the opening, pretty much, just because it's easier to sew through that to keep it tucked in there. Okay, so I put my finger. So that's what it looks like now. That's the bunch part. I've stuck it kind of in the knot. Don't push too hard. And so I put my finger there. And then I wrap. And so this is the inside of the turban now. So you can see how it's going to be very gentle on your baby's head. So I put this like this. And then I leave this kind of triangle here in the front. So this is where this fabric's going to start here. See? About right there. I leave a triangle where underneath my thumb of where the fabric starts. And so I'm going to hold this with this finger and this with this finger. And then I'm going to even out the bunches pretty much. Because that can cause a turban to be really wonky if you don't even out your bunches. Okay, and so then I'm going to grab it with this hand like this. So then that's the turban. That's the knot, and this is the inside of the knot. Then you can fiddle with it a little bit if you want this triangle to be a little bit smaller. This is the part, again, that's going to be on your baby's head. I'll pull it down just a little bit. Okay, so hold it like this. If you can see, so here's the fabric part. I'm going to start on this side, and I'm going to go in about right here with the needle. And I'm going to go in, and then you're going to kind of go, you're going to scoop in and then scoop back out. See there when the needle came out? You're going to pull it through. And be careful to make sure your thread's coming out all the way. Okay? So then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back in through between those 2 points. So I'm going to go right here and come out. And basically you're just making even. You're wanting to make sure that you go all the way through the fabric, all the way to the hair donut, and back out. And so you pull it pretty tight, but again, don't pull it too tight because you can break your thread and get really frustrated with yourself. So try to just create a circle around the thing with the thread. So remember, going in between the points. So if you do a point, then go in between that one and make another point. And you just keep doing it. It's kind of hard for me to see a circle holding it like this, but I think I can do it. So basically you just keep going in and out. Try not to stab myself because I can't really see. Hopefully you can still see it in the camera. Okay. Keep going out and you just keep turning your fabric. And so you can see how I'm kind of creating a little circle. Keep going in and out. And then we're almost back to the edge. Almost. I can do one more little one here. Back out here. Okay, so then we got the semicircle, or the circle pretty much completed. So as you can see, I've pretty much made a circle inside there. And so here's the part that kind of secures it all. I go in here, so basically where that came out, I'll go in and I'll come out right here in the middle of the knot. So remember, our tucked fabric is right behind here. So I like to go in here and back out the little part here where we first went in the beginning, and I'll pull it tight, and then I'll just keep going around the spot again. You can kind of see I'm gonna keep going just to secure this spot right here a few good times, just in case that knot that I make doesn't hold. It gives it a little extra security, and if you have enough thread, just keep doing it till you have enough left over here. So that's about as much as I have left over. And so I'm going to go ahead and snip the needle off. And then I'm going to tie these ends right here. Same way we did the other way. Tie this here. Kind of hard to do holding up, so I'm going to do it back here. These, and again, you're just tying it like a shoestring. Tie a few knots. And this also, do not do it too tight, because I've gotten to this point and been in a hurry tying my little knots and just like went Hulk woman and broke the knot, and then you feel terrible because you literally just did everything for it to fall apart. So be gentle, just to make a few knots to tie it off. Again, going in and out in that one little spot will kind of help protect you if you do. If your thread does break, you can fix it, because you did do that whole reinforcement a few times tight right there, where we did reinforce it a few times. And then here's the end of our first threads, and just snip those kind of short, and then you flip it out. But if you do break your thread, thread your needle again and kind of start back a little bit before where your thread broke and secure it a few times, and it should work. We've had that happen a few times, and I've learned to just, you know, let it work. But here's the end result. And again, like I said, our turbans are pretty big, but they look really cute on babies' heads. So that's the result. It's not really hanging low on my hand here, but that's pretty much how it goes. And like I said, also the flat lay, to make it look really cute, what we do is I'll pull this down, pull the knot up, and that's how I do a flat lay, to take pictures and make it look pretty. You can kind of see that's how it goes. But as you can see, it's not going anywhere. The knot, that's the inside of the hat. It's not going anywhere. And there's no glue. So you don't have to worry about getting glue everywhere and people, you know, being upset because you have glue all over their garment. But that's a knotted turban. That's how we do it. That's our secrets. And I really hope that it helps you out. And don't go buying up all these hair knots now, okay? All these hair donuts, because we gotta work too, you know. So I'm just kidding. It's the Dollar Tree. They better have these hair donuts everywhere. But you're welcome. That's a secret that I think a lot of places don't share. And so you heard it here. That's what we use. Hair donuts. It gets the job done quicker, and because, you know, not all knots are created equal, but in this case they kind of are, because it's very similar. But if you don't like the huge knots, what you can do is when you're doing the fabric around the knot, the hair donut, we found this size is the best for us, and we use the same size hair donut for all of them to make the size a little different. Like if somebody wanted a smaller one or a larger one, you just use more fabric around the knot, or you'd wrap the fabric tighter to make it smaller. But again, this is a very lightweight option, so shipping is a lot cheaper on this than using the fabric. But again, if fabric's all you have, then go for it. It's super easy to do. But there we go. Thanks for watching this video. And if you have any questions, you know, comment down below. Also, join our group on Facebook. It's called RV's Show and Tell. And basically this group is just a group for makers and people, mamas, daddies, grandmas, grandpas, anybody who's sewing and wants to show off your work. If you're using our tutorials or you need help or you need questions, we'll try to answer them. Please remember, we do have a business. We've had quite a few people commenting questions on our actual business page where we sell garments and we sell what we make. And we'd rather you not ask those questions on our business platform. So we've kind of created this group for those questions. And here soon, we're going to have a subscription plan to where you can learn even more. And we'll do like one-on-ones, and you'll have live chats where you can speak to us and ask questions. And, you know, hopefully get the answers you're looking for. We are not in any way super professional. We started pretty much just like this, watching videos and learning by trial and error. So welcome, we've been here. So Make sure you subscribe. We're going to be putting out new videos every Tuesday for Teach It Tuesday. So be prepared to learn. Bye.